Welcome back to the Nicole Abboud Show. I am Nicole Abboud and I am so happy that you're joining me today. So let's not waste any time and let's go ahead and jump into this week's top stories in law and business. So after 62 years in business, Payless shoe source is heading back into bankruptcy, and this time it is closing for good. On Monday, the discount shoe retailer filed for Chapter 11 protection for the second time. The company first filed for Chapter 11 back in April of 2017, where it was able to actually successfully complete the restructuring process, but it still had to close down around 400 stores back then. But alas, it wasn't enough to save the company. So this one is a little sad for me because growing up, not having a lot of money, Payless was actually the go-to place to go and get our shoes for school. Even as an adult, I still go there and buy black flats whenever I need them. So it's a little sad, but Payless is planning on closing approximately 2,500 stores across the US and Canada and letting go of about 16,000 employees. Liquidation sales are happening right now and they are expected to remain open. The stores are expected to remain open at least until the end of March, with the remaining stores closing by May. So what Payless said in court documents is that many of its stores just did not generate enough cash to support the costs of sourcing, design, and merchandising. There were interruptions in the company's supply chain, there were computer system breakdowns, just a whole lot of bad stuff. It was battling declining foot traffic in malls and then competition from e-commerce websites. So Payless is the latest brick-and-mortar retailer to suffer this fate, joining companies like Toys R Us, Gymboree, Charlotte Russe. Of course, many say that online shopping has led to a drop in foot traffic at US malls, which were a vital source of customers for stores like Payless. And perhaps that's what happened here. But I'm always trying to extract salient lessons from business successes and business failures in hopes that we can all apply these lessons in our own businesses and our own law practices. So I think it's very easy to look to things like the economy or the changing nature of technology or reduced foot traffic in malls, which are all very legitimate reasons, and they do affect businesses. But some people say that Payless just never really built a brand, and that's what caused it to fail. It didn't build a brand that people connected with. I mean, sure, they had their BOGO, their buy one, get one free campaigns, but that's pretty much it. So I always think that anytime a business fails, anytime it succeeds, it really comes down to one thing. It always, always, always comes down to the leadership. I like to see who is at the helm and what they're doing to adapt to the changing times. If they are malleable enough to adapt to what's happening in the economy and yet firm in what they stand for. That's really what it comes down to. For a business that's been in business for 62 years, something must have changed in the leadership for it to be at this point, right? And I think the worst part is really the effect on the employees. 16,000 employees are going to lose their jobs. And a lot of people might look and say, it's just a retail job, they can find another one. But might I remind you that just a few years ago, lawyers were actually suffering the same fate. A lot of lawyers were being let go from their law firm jobs because of the bad economy. So this is not just something that affects retailers, it can affect anyone. And I think this should serve as a reminder that whether you work in retail, whether you're a lawyer, doesn't matter what you do, you should always be investing in your personal brand and making sure that you're building up the skills necessary to be able to bounce back if you ever find yourself in the same position. Speaking of jobs, if you're in the mood for another legal conference or event, one that promises to address a problem that lawyers are actually dealing with these days, which is finding jobs, then you'll want to check out Above the Law's Evolve the Law, Law Jobs for Humans, a career event for legal futurists. The event is taking place on April 24th in Chicago, and it'll bring together innovative employers, legal career mavericks, aspirational law students, and legal education boundary pushers, not just to discuss alternative legal careers in technology, but to define, shape, and build the legal career paradigm for the modern era. So who is this conference or event for, if you're wondering if you should attend? Well, Evolve the Law, ATL's Legal Innovation Center, and their human organizer, Dan Lear, stated, our target market for law jobs for humans is limited to 3 relatively narrow groups. 1, lawyers and legal professionals working in these new generation jobs or looking to make a change. 2, students interested in these areas and law school faculty and staff working in or advocating for this changing landscape, and 3, employers looking to hire or grow the talent pool for this ecosystem. So that's something worth checking out if you are in the area and are interested in this topic. They still have some tickets available. And the link to the event is in the description below. Justice Ginsburg took the bench at the Supreme Court on Tuesday for oral arguments for the first time since she'd undergone surgery for cancer in December. RBG, who is 85 years old, had 2 cancerous nodules removed from her lung. As you might recall, the cancer was actually first detected in November of last year, right after Ginsburg fell in her office. And as part of the CT scan for her fractured ribs, doctors discovered 2 malignant nodules in her left lung. After the surgery in December, doctors announced that there was no remaining evidence of the disease and no other treatment was required at this time. So that is good news. Feel better, RBG. Hang in there just a little bit longer. We need you. And now for an obligatory picture that I actually took of RBG when I was within maybe 10 feet of her at a conference a few years ago. So we all know how powerful it can be to start a legal blog or any type of content marketing effort, really, in helping you grow your law practice. But what if you're not even the one writing the legal blogs? What if you hire a ghostwriter? Are there any issues there, specifically of the ethical nature, that you should be concerned about? So that's a question that was posed by an author of a recent ABA article entitled Ghostwriting for Law Blogs, Ethics Are Murky. The article explores the potential ethical implications of having someone other than the lawyer themselves writing legal blogs. Now, most lawyers might not see the harm in that, especially if they are reviewing those blogs and ensuring their accuracy prior to publication. But others take issue with it. So Kevin O'Keefe, CEO of LexBlog, noted his opposition to ghostwriting, calling ghostwriting misleading. As for official state bar ethics rules, well, of course, they're a bit hazy on this issue, and the ABA itself hasn't taken any official stance on this issue. So as a social media and content marketing strategist for lawyers, I am always encouraging lawyers to create content. I believe that's the best way to build your brand, to share your expertise, and to connect with others on a human level. So as someone who has managed to convince lawyers to answer the call of content marketing, I can tell you that personally, even though I don't take any issue with ghostwriting, especially if it's reviewed by the lawyer themselves before publishing, I just think it defeats the purpose and doesn't really serve its purpose. The whole point of content marketing, whether it is blogging or podcasting or creating videos, the whole point is for people to see your face and fall in love with you and your mind and how you think, how you explain things, your quirks and your personality. So having someone else do it on your behalf, which is possible with blogging, not so much with videos and podcasting, that just defeats the purpose of building a personal brand and using content marketing to do that. So that's it for this week's top stories. Be sure to stick around for the next segment where I indulge in a little bit of Follow Friday. Since it's Friday, today is the perfect day to do a little bit of a Follow Friday, but with a little bit of a twist. I like to call this Unfollow Friday because there are certain accounts that you should be following and then others that are just destroying your life and you should unfollow. So let's talk about a few of those. First account on Instagram that you should follow, based on my recommendation, is an account called Tank's Good News, and it is such a feel-good account. This account shares all the good news and good things that are happening in the world, and considering we are living in a time where everything seems so negative, this account is a little glimmer of hope in your day, so go ahead and follow them. Another thing to follow, your gut. Trust it. What else should you be following on Follow Friday? You should follow someone you admire in your practice area, in your field, in your industry. Find someone that you admire and follow them on social media. I don't mean stalk them, but follow them closely and see what they're doing and see if you can learn from them just by observing their path to success. And because I believe in balance in this world, if you're gonna follow some accounts or follow some things, you should unfollow as well. So the first thing to unfollow, any kind of accounts that make you feel like crap. So any negativity, even if it's from your mom, from your brother, from your uncle, unfollow. If someone is posting political stuff that you just do not agree with and it makes you angry every time you read it, unfollow. One time I went on a rampage and unfollowed like 300 people on Instagram at once and it felt good. Something else to unfollow on this Unfollow Friday, the crowd. Do not follow the crowd. Don't be afraid to be different. If everyone in your industry or your practice area is doing one thing, don't be afraid to do something else. Unfollow that crowd. So that's it for this Follow Unfollow Friday segment this time around. If you have any suggestions as to who I should be following or what I should be following or unfollowing, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. But until then, I'll see you guys next time.